This, I think, is one of the best breakfast foods we can have, short of a bowl of dry cereal at about 3 in the morning. Today, I had gotten a request to make pancakes, and I found that I don't keep a home recipe. So I went through, did a little bit of recipe development, and I came up with what I think is a great master recipe for pancakes. You know, I've tested it with different mix-ins, also tested it with buttermilk, without buttermilk, with just a little bit of buttermilk, and it's worked really well. Nice, lofted, thick, delicious pancakes. You can also be really creative with it. You know, instead of butter, you can do brown butter. Instead of just AP flour that I use, you can put in some wheat, or you can put in buckwheat. So I've got the griddle going. Let's do our mise en place, and we'll just get rolling on this. Gonna do some pancakes, a little strawberry compote, and I'm gonna throw some chocolate chips in there because I absolutely love that. All right, let's get to it. So here we have all of our ingredients laid out. We have a teaspoon each of baking soda and baking powder, 2 eggs, 4 tablespoons of butter, about a teaspoon of salt, and 2 tablespoons of white sugar, just regular white sugar, and then 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Now when measuring out your flour, make sure that you always level it off, don't shake it. When you measure flour, you're measuring by volume, and it's important to remember that most recipes account for the different little various voids in the cup. So if you shake the cup and pack it down, you're gonna have a lot more flour than you expected. Sometimes as much as 30%, depending on how fine the flour is that you're using. Another reason I use my gram scale as opposed to measure this way, it's a lot quicker to use my gram scale. So we have 2 cups flour. Now we're gonna go sugar, baking soda and baking powder, salt. Now with these, just get them mixed up a bit. Basically what I want to do is make sure that the baking soda and baking powder are mixed up pretty well within here. These are our liquid ingredients: egg, butter, buttermilk. So for the butter, you got to melt this down. So I'm going to get that melting on the stove right now, and then we're going to go back to the buttermilk and eggs. All right, I've got my butter melted. It's going to cool here for a second. What we're going to do is we're going to get all the liquid in there, give it a quick whisk, and then let it sit for about 3 to 5 minutes, and then we're going to start cooking with it. But before we get there, got to get the eggs cracked and in there. And this is why I crack eggs into a bowl. So the eggs right into the buttermilk. Give it just a little quick whisk. All right, we're almost ready here. So with the butter, nice, melted, still a little warm, but that's okay. So the way this is gonna work, got a whisk over here. Gonna get the butter nice and drizzled in. Now, liquid. Now I always reserve a bit of liquid, just in case things are a little too thin here. You don't want to add it all, but it should work out just fine. In fact, this tends to be a little on the thicker side when I make it. And we're done. So, actually give it a little bit more of the liquid. Not all of it, just a little bit. And this is about the right consistency you want. It's thick, but it falls off in kind of clumps, as opposed to pouring off like liquid would. Let this sit 3 to 5 minutes, and then we're going to start griddling it. At this point, you want to have your griddle nice and warm, but kind of at a medium low temperature, and your oven set to warm, so that way your plates are in the oven, and as you make pancakes, you put them onto a sheet pan into the oven and they hold nice and warm for you. Now if you used a pot, like I did when you melted your butter, you're gonna have a little bit of butter left over that didn't really make it into the batter, and that's okay. What I like to do right now, take some strawberries and sugar right into the pot. That's gonna go right onto the stove next to the griddle and just gonna cook nice and lightly for a little bit. What this is making is a strawberry compote. So for a cup of sliced strawberries, I'm using about a third of a cup of sugar and just a little pinch of salt. Our compote is bubbling away, and now it's time to get some pancakes down. I'm using a 2-ounce ladle, and that gives nice and beautiful pancakes. 3 or 4 to a person, and it's an awesome breakfast. As you're cooking your pancakes, keep in mind where your heat is. With my stove, I have a oval element right here, so it keeps nice and even heat right through here. If you only have like a round stove element, just do 1 pancake at a time. If you have the oven on, hold the oven at about 150 to 175 degrees. Put your pancakes in as you're done. They're going to stay warm. So as your pancakes cook, you're going to see bubbles start to come up around the edges, and the edges themselves are going to start to kind of look rounded and raised. That's a good sign. What that's saying to you is that it's cooking. We're not anywhere near where we need to flip it yet, but that it's cooking and that it'll be ready to flip soon because the bottom edge is setting. What you need is a good set on the bottom, so that way it holds together as you flip it. If there is a single challenging part about making pancakes, it's temperature control and knowing when to flip things. So right here, we're starting to look a bit kind of plasticky, so that's telling me these are ready to flip. Now when making pancakes, only flip them once. This is the only time they're going to get flipped. They cook on one side, flip them, cook on the other side, and they're done. And to me, one of the indicators of a good pancake is this rise that you get as soon as you flip it, how it just kind of lifts up. I think that's a beautiful thing, and that's what I look for, because when you bite into them, they're going to be nice and pillowy, have just this really soft texture, and they hold butter quite a bit better too. So these have been cooking for a minute or two, looking nice and ready. If you pick them up and you start looking at the bottom side, you're going to see that they're starting to really get just a nice brown color. And at this point, they're pretty well set. So if you want to try to move them around a little bit to toast everything up evenly, you can. But these are cooked. You don't need to. One risk that you have if you move things around in the pan is that you may deflate them a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and put these into the oven to warm and continue making more. All right, so this next pair is going to be a little different. I'm going to mix some chocolate chips into these, which I particularly love. We're just going to come here, let it sit for a second, and then start throwing in as many chocolate chips as you want. Once you have your chocolate chips in, what's going to happen is they're kind of sinking into the batter, but you're going to have that initial set on the bottom, so they can't sink all the way down to the griddle. So they just kind of sit there, and then when you flip them, the rest of the liquid batter is going to surround them, so they're going to be kind of really just enveloped into the pancake, and they turn out absolutely delicious. You can see right here I dropped one on the griddle, and it's just kind of being sucked in by the pancake. Now when I'm flipping my pancakes, I like making it as easy on myself as possible, so I use a big spatula. Come in, nice flat angle, and flip. I strongly suggest, if you like making things like hash browns, grilled cheese, pancakes, anything that benefits from a flat griddle, go and get one. This one's a Victoria. I like Lodge. They're not really expensive, and they're gonna last a long time. I've had this probably 6-7 years. And some of the other cast iron cookware I have is up there around the 10-15 year range. My plate is nice and warm, and it's been sitting in the oven for, well, the whole time I've been making these pancakes. And so I'm gonna go and start with, these are all the chocolate chip pancakes. I'm gonna go ahead and get these right down. Look at that, that's a nice thick stack of pancakes. So we're gonna give it a little bit of butter. Now I'm going to go just a little bit extra, as I normally do. This is mascarpone cheese with a little bit of lemon zest mixed into it. And now we're going to go 2 ways. I like both strawberry compote and maple syrup. Maple side, strawberry side, with chocolate chips right in the middle, and a little bit of mascarpone right on top. Now we're at the part I like. This is where I get to try it. You know, this is one of my favorite things. I love pancakes, I love buttermilk pancakes, and I really like this recipe. This recipe came out really good. The chocolate is a good balance. The buttermilk comes up, gives it a little bit of sour. The butter actually tastes nice and buttery. I love that. This is just a great plate of pancakes. Make yourself some. It's super easy, inexpensive, fun to make, and the things that you can put into it are only bound by your imagination. I've got a plate of pancakes just staring at me here. This recipe, the 2-2-2-2, I'm going to put in the description below, but keep in mind it makes about 12 pancakes. All right, you can cut it in half, have about 4 to 6. You can double it. Now I'm also going to give you baker's ratio as well as grams. Use those if you want to scale it up beyond, say, doubling, right? Either way, make these, enjoy it. See you next time. This is just too good.